gracious hosts, unique lodging, and tasty cuisine. New Mexico bed and breakfasts are New Mexico true. Our innkeepers are as special as New Mexico, and we're sharing their stories. Read about them and plan your trip at nmbba.org. Hey, everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio. And every second Thursday, we get to go to New Mexico, the land of enchantment, and find out where we can all stay in beautiful bed and breakfasts across the state. New Mexico is gorgeous. And today we are going to Albuquerque, and we're going to find out about a brand new inn that just opened August 1st. We're going to chat with Marjorie and Gene Trosterud. They are the innkeepers of the Sleepy Lobo Inn, and this is in the University District of Albuquerque. And I encourage you to go to their website, sleepyloboinn.com, and that's sleepy and then Lobo in.com. So Margie and Gene, welcome. How are you?
We're good.
Hi,
Welcome.
thanks.
Thank you.
Now, did I pronounce your last name correctly, or did I butcher it? Because I love to butcher any language.
You did pretty well. It's Norwegian, so Trosterud
Okay.
was perfect.
Okay, because I lived in South Africa, so I start going Afrikaans on people. Like, it doesn't matter what language it is, I'm going Dutch. But anyway, it's kind of close, kind of, sort of. But yeah, I mean, okay, so that's a long way from Norway. Tell us a little bit about Albuquerque and what led you to open a bed and breakfast in Albuquerque specifically. Have you lived there for a long time? I know you've got a military and travel background, and so yeah, why Albuquerque? Let's start there.
Well, definitely the military brought us to Albuquerque. We have been all over. We spent 8 years in Europe with the Air Force. Gene is retired after 36 years, and but during our travels in '94, we actually came to Albuquerque for a military stint and fell in love with it. We're originally from Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
So cold, snowy, and we came to the blue skies in the mountains and fell in love. And so we've been here ever since, on and off, because the military takes us all sorts of places, and Jim can talk about his travels. We've spent probably 30% of our marriage apart because of the military.
Oh, wow.
In different states, but we always called Albuquerque home, and we always had a dream for 40 years. We've been married for 40 years this year, and
Oh, wow.
always,
This is a big year.
it is a big year. It's always been our dream to open a bed and breakfast, a traditional bed and breakfast, like a European inn. And we've been planning this for many years, and finally realized it this year, and said, well, we need to do it, and the place to do it is here, where we
Wow.
call home.
Awesome. And Jane, for you coming to Albuquerque, I mean, going from the Air Force, now you've got hot air balloons. I don't think that's a little bit of a calmer stint, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. A lot slower travel and a lot quieter.
Yeah, and those big skies. I mean, going from New York, it's got to be really different. Right now, we're actually back east, and it is we lived out in Tucson. That's where our storage unit is, because we travel full time across the country, and you're not that far away. And in the desert Southwest, you just can't. It's once it's in your heart, it's in your heart. Certain places you get that dirt under your fingernails, and you have a lot of dirt. You're in the desert. You can't clean it away because it's just kind of gets you there. So, Gene, what is it for you about Albuquerque?
Well, basically, other than with the military, my association with that here, which is still just a couple miles away for us, we can hear reveille every morning at 7 o'clock if you step out on the front door. But it's always about the mountain, probably. It's about 6 or 10 miles away, depending on where you're coming from. And in 15 minutes or so, unlike Tucson, you can literally be walking on the trails at the foothills of Albuquerque, so on the mountain. So the
Yeah, that's
Sandias
awesome.
keep us here all the time, unless we're traveling.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've traveled quite a bit around the world, and so that's what's so great when you do land in one spot and you pick that. I think you've seen so much, you've experienced a bunch, and then when you pick a destination, that has to be a special destination to say, okay, we're calling this home. But not only are we doing that, we're going to invest in a property that, am I reading straight on your website? 10 years to renovate this property?
Yeah, well, I was working at the same time, flying at night
Okay,
or
right.
sometimes in the day, every day if I had the opportunity, or every weekend for sure, we worked on restoring this home. It had been started up in 1921. Some a dentist down the street, a couple doors away. His family built the house in 22. They bought the property in 21. And the coach across the street in 1922, Coach Johnson had come from University of Michigan and taken the first coaching job here. And he married in the living room the oldest daughter of the house. The house was brand new, and they got married on Flag Day, June 14th in 2022. And so it's got a lot of history starting with that. And it just took a long time to renovate it because it was in its original state, electrically,
Mm,
the water, the gas, all the utilities, everything.
wow.
Yeah,
And so
I have
it's
pictures,
Adobe, right?
right,
Mhm.
14-inch thick
The
adobe.
first floor.
And we have pictures from 1950s. And when we bought the house, the same curtains that are in the pictures from the 1950s were still hanging on the windows.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So it was quite a project, and I walked around the house, and there was just some beautiful architecture pieces in the house with wooden valances and a big old 6-foot tub and all these little special things. And I would go to Gene, can you fix that? And he was like, sure, I can fix it. Didn't realize it would take us 10 years. We actually went without a kitchen for 2 whole years. We basically ate and cooked out of the dining room while the kitchen was gutted, but we really wanted to pay attention to the original aspects of the house. And so Gene did a lot of hand plaster work and recreating windowsills that had been rotted to make, to bring them back to what they
Wow.
originally looked like. And the pictures helped. So it was a labor of love for sure.
Oh man. So you have 2 rooms, right? And then 2 bathrooms, they're also shared, right? There's an upstairs and a downstairs.
Yes, I actually have a total of 3 rooms
Oh,
in the
okay.
house for the bed and breakfast. We have a main bathroom on the second floor where the other rooms are. That is really large, beautiful walk-in shower. You could have a party in with 4 people, and a big soaking
You don't
tub.
want to
And then
start advertising that. Just kidding. You never know.
it's
It's a
my favorite.
university town. I'm just kidding. But no, I know that's nice though. That's nice that it's that big.
Right. And then we do have a full bath on the ground floor that we actually added a shower. It's the original bathroom, but we added a shower just for convenience
Mm.
for us. But yeah, it's definitely a traditional B&B where there's shared bathrooms, but I have gorgeous comfy spa robes and slippers for everyone to feel at home and enjoy that
Yeah.
piece of old style bed and breakfast.
Yeah, and they do exist, and we've stayed in a number of them, and really it's kind of like, let's get back to reality on some things. It's better, you can keep yourself, I know during COVID and, the pandemic, people freak out a little bit, but you can actually stay very safe. And we have, during the pandemic, I think we stayed over and starting a little bit before the pandemic in over 30 bed and breakfasts across the country. And the bed and breakfasts are like yours. It's such an important thing because you're holding on to history that could have just disappeared. I mean, not just the house itself, the architecture that is really indicative of what Albuquerque is about, but also the people's history that are attached to the house. It's such an important thing and it's being shared, so I think that's something really, really special. And so when people come to a bed and breakfast like yours, this is about an experience. And with you guys being so close to the university, I can imagine a lot of the guests coming that will be, like maybe, the first time everyone's getting ready at the dorm at the university, it's like the families coming in. So I think a lot of family reunions could happen. And to be in a big house, a big bed and breakfast house that has family history, I think that's really cool.
We
Absolutely.
agree. Yeah, that was the idea. I think our target audience was always thought to be the university students' parents who were coming in to drop the kids off for the start of school or pick them up at the end of school. And we're so close to the Nob Hill neighborhood, which is just 1 block away, that everybody's coming here during that time frame. They're going to go eat at dinner somewhere, everything, and they're going to be in the neighborhood anyway. So, and we are directly across the street. And we do have a very long history with the school itself. In 1930, this was a sorority home for a year for one
Oh,
of the
wow.
girls' sororities that started up at UNM. It was a pretty small college at that time. Like I said, the oldest daughter of the house, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in home economics, if that's hard to imagine at that time, in 1922, and she married the coach. And they lived then in where the duck pond is today at UNM. That was their home for up until the 1950s. He was one of the most famous coaches in all of university sports. He was the first coach to transport a team to a game on an airplane. He was on Sports Illustrated many times. And so there's a lot of family history here with the home itself. And we try to kind of keep that alive best as we can.
Well, I love the fact that, you're so close to university and have that history, because I think also for parents to know that it's kind of like a familiar hub for them if they come back again once the kids are in college, if they come back to visit, or, even for the kids going in the school. It's not always kids either. I should stop saying that. That gives them a familiarity too of a place as well. So you're going to
Right.
be part of people's educational history. Like, that's going to be kind of cool to
And they
know
can
that people
literally
are going to
walk
keep
too.
coming back.
That's sorry.
Well, and
That-
I will say too, so I do have my first true booking in 10 days, and it's a couple, 2 women coming from Germany. And she is
Cool.
coming back. She's 60 years old, and she went to UNM, and she's bringing her sister with her to come and see the university and show her sister around because she's never been to the States. They're Germans. And she's staying at my B&B. And I'm so excited because we lived in Germany. And so we
Oh,
have
cool.
that connection already. But you're right in the fact that, people do come back to their college haunts. And, she remembers living on Carlisle and all sorts of different things that she's already been talking to me about, which wasn't far from here. She also got married just a few blocks away. And so it is really great to have that. And I hope that, the parents come, or visiting professors or people coming back can come back and reconnect with Albuquerque, because it is a wonderful, wonderful city, and it's truly international here. And the university helps with that, because people come from all over to go to this university. I mean, I'm proud of it. My daughter went there, and so it's
Okay.
her alma mater, and it's a big part of what Albuquerque is. So I'm really pleased that we have a little slice of history.
With the university being there, a lot of them have, museums and things like on the campus, and performance venues. Is it like that there too for, because I know you've got a lot of flamenco going on in Albuquerque. You've
How
got
we
wine and
do.
flamenco, and hot air balloons and hiking. Like, seriously. And you've got a lot of good food. Your food is incredible. Like,
The
it's a
food is
dangerous city
amazing.
for food.
I mean,
So,
you definitely have, Pope Joy Hall at the University of New Mexico has, Broadway shows to other theater projects that they do. A lot of different performances all throughout the year. In the general area, we have all kinds of little theaters around. And famous things like the Frontier Restaurant is probably the icon of breakfast burritos in New Mexico. And that's
oh,
really 4 blocks down the road from our bed and breakfast, and across the street from UNM. So it's that's an icon. And there are several different places like the Lobo Theater, which back in the day in the 90s, used to play movies. And now it's a huge entertainment venue that's just blocks away from the university and Airbnb. So there's a lot of things like that. Museums, Gene could talk about. He's been to. We've
There's a
been to all of
pottery,
them.
yeah, there's actually a pretty good pottery museum that's on the university campus.
oh,
Uh,
cool.
Another point to, I guess, bring up is ART, the Albuquerque Rapid Transit System, the bus system that runs down Route 66, which is also Central Avenue, right here right by the university and by us. It
Okay.
is free now for anybody who wants to get on and off, and it goes all the way to downtown to Old Town. It goes almost the
Wow.
entire length of Route 66. It goes, I want to say almost 14 miles, 10 to 14 miles, somewhere in there. And as well as our location, we're 2.3 miles from the airport. So
Wow.
it's really easy to get around transportation wise in the area we're at, assuming you're not walking everywhere because everything is walkable.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And now, do you have public art in your backyard too? Because that's the one thing we were doing when we came to Albuquerque is we went on the giant hunt of public art and we found it everywhere. I can't remember, it was 300 or 600 pieces of art. It's insanity. Like I thought we could do it all. I'm like, come on, Nancy, let's do it. No, we couldn't finish. And the pieces are incredible. So do you have some around you? You've got to, you're by the university.
We
We do.
do. We have a lot of murals all around. We actually, there's a spa that's next door, a beautiful
Oh,
day spa.
oh,
And
perfect.
the owner's husband is an artist, a local artist. So we have several of his pieces of art actually around the property. But certainly you can go within 10-mile or 10-block area and see countless murals and
Mm,
some sculptures. And even on the university, they have all kinds of artwork that you can just stroll around on their walking paths and see it. It's what makes Albuquerque very special. I believe they're like within the top 10 um, uh, in the United States of cities that put money into public art. So
that's
it's a
amazing.
huge deal for
And
Albuquerque
transit.
to support it.
I
Yes.
think that, because the West, other if you're like San Francisco, LA, and stuff like that, we kind of weren't as good about public transportation because everything is so spread out.
Oh,
So it's
right.
really good to see things like the Albuquerque rapid transit system that you're talking about. That's a big deal. I know Tucson just is also getting into that and has that downtown. So it's nice to see these changes happen over the last 20 years, that
Right.
it's great. It's really
Well,
great.
you can also, so the rapid ride is great. We have a regular bus system, plus we have this rapid ride that you can quickly get from the university to downtown or
That's
to Old
awesome.
Town and, get easy access to museums. It also will bring you to the Rail Runner, which is the train that takes you to Santa Fe really quick in like 45 minutes.
What?
So yeah, that's really, really nice. And you can access that from downtown and it's very quick to get directly into Santa Fe. So it makes the
Hmm.
transit here in the city really makes even Santa Fe accessible to almost anyone who does not have their own car here. A lot of the students don't. So it makes it really advantageous for
Especially if you're flying in.
yes.
I
Mhm.
wanted to touch on, we got to talk about food at the end, but I want to go back to the end because you mentioned property and having some art on the property. Tell us a little bit. Let's go to the rooms and the gardens, but let's start with the gardens. Do you have a garden area where people can sit outside and enjoy, some iced tea or maybe a glass of wine, whatever they want to do?
Absolutely. We have a beautiful outdoor patio with a nice little pond that we watch the roadrunners come and drink from.
Oh, cool.
So that's really, really wonderful. Beautiful, some grass and some patio areas, a couple different ones to sit around and relax, beautifully treed. So there's shady
Nice.
spots as well as sunny. So that's really nice. It's definitely walkable to different parks as well, but it is a park like setting here.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
the rooms are you know, uh, furnished with antiques, beautiful linens, and bedding for, all the different temperatures here in Albuquerque because it can be cool at night. They're with all the little comforts of home. So down to, cables for your phones to charge.
Oh, wow, cool.
But some of those modern conveniences with, flat screen smart TVs, and Wi-Fi but the comforts of a bed and breakfast, which is just those,
That's
mints on the pillows and the comfy blankets and pillows for you to,
Man, you could tell that
relax.
you guys have been like really planning this. Okay, we're going to do this. This is going to happen when
Yep.
this happens. So let's talk about, okay, so someone comes, checks in. Now, are there afternoon refreshments? Like I saw, okay.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to have afternoon tea every day. So, whatever kind of confections I decide to make, from my
Ooh,
European travels. So, homemade scones or shortbread
oh,
or something along those lines with coffee and tea in the afternoons, to greet my guests. And then in the evenings, I want to do, well, I will have snacks, and refreshments for, when you're kind of relaxing before bed and you're
mhm.
chatting with your friends or who you brought with you, just kind of relaxing either outside or in the living room, because it's so beautiful in Albuquerque most of the time that we love to sit out and,
Yeah,
have a cool refreshment in the evening as the sun
yeah.
sets. So definitely want to do that. And then, of course, a beautiful full breakfast, multi-course breakfast with,
Whoa.
the traditional pastries and fruits and that to grab and go for those guests who, just need to have something when they first get up in the morning. And then a sit down, full hot breakfast with, quiche and homemade breads and, homemade granola and those kinds of things, German pancakes, just,
Wow.
the
So
different things
are
I've
you both
learned.
cooking or is this all on you?
I'm sorry?
Is it all on you on the cooking and the baking or?
Absolutely. I've been, my mother, was a great cook and I learned from her. And then, just in our travels, we just, I would try something and say, well, let's try to make that at home. And I've been a baker for many years. I used to make
Oh,
wedding cakes and,
oh, wow.
yeah. So I have a history. I love it. Absolutely love to feed people and I love to eat myself. So
Well,
it's
this is
tasty.
it sounds like a perfect, next career for you both, And then it's great that you know how to restore a historic home. I think that's a
Yes,
lot
yeah,
of
that's
work.
true.
I mean, no, I mean that's really a big deal. And to try and keep the integrity of the home is, I think, hard as well. Like, just go, okay, just tear it down, put something new up. It's quicker and easier. And that's you see that happen across the country. But man, the more we lose these historic spaces and keep putting up the same boxes, the little boxes on the hillside, we're ruining the way our country looks by not having character. And, that's what I think is so important about architecture and history is to keep the character of a place, it's
Sure.
part of the soul. So I really hats off to all the work you've done because I know that's not easy, especially when you have to play with electrical work and all that stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
uh-oh.
Yeah, that was the whole thing was to keep the home in its original state as much as possible. And so everybody's like, aren't you going to add, a bathroom, private bath for every room? I said, no, it would totally change the home and then it wouldn't be what it's
Right.
supposed to be. So it's staying a 3-bedroom house like it was built in 1922.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. So, okay, so everyone's got lovely accommodations and history, easy to just get outside and go and go hike and do all kinds of, obviously, there's so
mhm.
much to do in Albuquerque. But
Mhm.
for the fall and winter, what would you recommend people put on their radar? Is there special events? I know the hot air balloon festival is happening October, and good luck everybody finding a room for that. But
Uh,
That is
yes.
difficult, but yeah, we definitely there's a lot. I mean, the state fair is starting in a few days, so that's really exciting. Right here in Albuquerque, there's the Harvest Festival at the end of the month, which has all kinds of things, pumpkin patch kind of stuff that
oh,
goes
fun.
on in the fall in a lot of cities. We're in the midst of chili roasting right now, which is huge. Everybody has to get their chilies ahead of time. So we have them through the year. But a lot of, as we get into fall and into November, and Thanksgiving time, the pumpkin patches and the corn mazes are, pop up on the
Wow.
local farms here, and there's several. So that's really fun. Balloon Fiesta, you've mentioned, the 40th uh, Duke City Marathon is due to happen October 22nd. So that's a huge thing that people come from all over to go ahead and participate in. It's
What
beautiful
is it?
marathon.
Like a
A marathon run.
oh, okay, the running. Ooh,
Yes, it's a marathon that's been going on for 40 years, and
wow.
you run all through the city, so it's beautiful. You get
So
to
on the
see
bus,
the
yeah.
bosque, with the
Oh,
river area. It's a wonderful thing to participate in, that we all, love, and we're actually looking at it this year to maybe do some walk. Definitely the bosque to come and walk
mhm.
in the fall is beautiful. A lot of people do. There's huge trails all around, with, alongside of the botanical gardens and the zoo and that
Oh,
whole.
the garden's awesome. I love the gardens.
Yes,
In the Bosque, look, you're right, because then the season is coming in, even getting into winter for all the birds. You're
yes.
in a really good flyway, right? For people to go, if you're a birder, this is the time to get out there. And fall is perfect for hiking. Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. The birds are huge and prolific, and there's a lot of bird watching events that go on. And definitely, visit Albuquerque and New Mexico. True, those websites are incredible to use, to see what events are
mhm.
popping up. We definitely, with the Native Americans, we have a lot of feast days that happen, throughout the year, and so. Checking out what's happening in the fall and the winter for those feast days. They do dancing and all sorts of
Oh,
events. Those are really great. And again, people come from all over to see that culture because you don't find it in a lot of places. And we have a lot of different tribes here in the area, and we love to support them. Also, in the winter, we have the shop and stroll on Nob Hill during the holidays that come out,
okay,
where for a month the shops stay open late and serve,
cool.
cookies and stuff. And we have the luminarias that come out in
Oh,
the
that's a big
winter
deal.
time. They have walks and festivals for those too in all different areas. So in Albuquerque we have different areas like Old Town and downtown, and they have different festivals during different times. And
Mhm.
so um, there's always something to do. And I don't want to forget, we talk about hiking in the Sandias. I mean, you have the Sandia tram to take you in the fall up the mountain, and you see where all the leaves have changed, and it's a beautiful view of the
Oh
city
man.
top,
In a restaurant.
and the restaurant at the top of the mountain to sit and have something, just see the sunset. That is a huge fall must do for anyone coming into the
Oh,
area.
that's awesome. And they got to go to Petroglyph National Monument. That's a whole
Mhm.
other cool thing to go and experience. And people coming in the fall, like you're saying, there's the birds, there's the hiking, there's all these different cultural festivals. So yes, there's all those visitor bureau websites like visit abq.org, I think it is, or .com. I know it's visit
Yeah,
abq.
orc, I think.
Yeah, and then also New Mexico, true, but also the New Mexico Bed and Breakfast Association is nmbba.org. And I highly recommend that too, because they have all the bed and breakfast for people to choose from. So, like if you're booked, maybe somebody else in Albuquerque or nearby will be available for visitors going to have a real, authentic New Mexico true experience. See, I got this down. And then, but also they have a cool blog on there. So you get all these, if, what to see and do in the entire state, which is fantastic. So I'm glad you're part of them. They do a great job of guiding visitors of where to stay. And I think innkeepers like you guys obviously know the area really well. You've lived there, worked there, and then also, renovated a historic home there. So I think you know Albuquerque pretty darn well and definitely have the enthusiasm. And that's the beauty of staying at inns is the innkeepers, it's like I'm looking for this really, off the wall thing over here, and somehow the innkeeper will know where to get it or where to find it. It's amazing. So,
Thank
so
you.
innkeepers are like they know what's going on. You guys get all the gossip too. You
We
do.
do. We get all the gossip. Since we've lived here for so long, we've hit all the museums and the hiking
Yeah.
and the things to do and the festivals, and there's not an end to what you can do when you get here, depending on what you like to do. So
Awesome.
I do want to reiterate that, there's just so much for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you both for joining us on the show today. Everyone, we are here every second Thursday talking about New Mexico with the New Mexico Bed and Breakfast Association. You can keep up with us at bigblendradio.com, but also go to Gene and Margie's website. It is sleepyloboinn.com and go make a booking or go check yourself into university for fun too. If you haven't gone yet, you might want to start now. That you know what? You're never too old to learn, right? So there
Right.
it is. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Gracious hosts, unique lodging, and tasty cuisine. New Mexico bed and breakfasts are New Mexico true. Our innkeepers are as special as New Mexico, and we're sharing their stories. Read about them and plan your trip at nmbba.org.